Paul Finebaum's joining us. Paul, I'm not sure. He hasn't been on this show with the Chuck and Bo show yet. He used to come on the other show we did years ago. I'm not really sure how to bring you on, Paul. Like, are you still with ESPN? Are you in the U.S. Senate? Are you still doing the SEC network? Good morning. What are you doing now?
Thank you very much. As of this hour, I am still employed by the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah. Well,
so can you fix this YouTube thing? Can you get that taken care of?
Can you get back on YouTube TV?
I was in Austin the other day for a Vanderbilt game, and I flew back home that night, and my wife said, "Do you have any idea what's going on with ES?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, can you fix it?" I said, "No." and I am a consumer. I'm as ticked off as everybody else is, and it's downright exasperating. But then again, I am a lowly employee at the Disney Company, and they tell us we are not allowed to publicly comment on the airwaves, so I hope I haven't expressed too much frustration with them.
What about the government shutdown?
We don't want to get you fined or anything like that.
Can you comment
on
politics?
Let me assure you, I could settle this shutdown in about 5 minutes if I was up there, but I'm still covering college football right now.
Well, what are your thoughts, Paul, on the landscape? I mean, we've never had this many coaches fired at big programs this early in the season. What do you make of it?
Well, it's definitely there's a domino effect. Some of these are easy to understand. Arkansas, maybe some of the earlier ones. Penn State was the one that sent a shock through the system, and the second that happened, and LSU looks around and goes, they can pay that kind of money, so can we. And Florida does it. So I think Napier, Pittman are in one classification. Kelly and James Franklin are something that we've never seen before. Really top-notch coaches at big-time programs that the frustration level just reaches a boiling point, and it's like a volcano. It's to the point now where we are in early November, and nothing would surprise me other than maybe seeing someone that – when the board loses 2 games and gets fired, that might surprise me. But the Kelly thing, as shocking as it was, you kind of go, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, you lose a game at home and you get fired, even though you're a highly successful coach.
Paul, I got to ask you about Arkansas. I mean, you've hosted a show for a long time where you'll get a call about Arkansas every once in a while, but Arkansas for a decade hasn't really been a contender in this league, and there haven't been a whole lot of times where they have been since joining the league. But I feel like we're also at a different time in college football with the portal and money and all this stuff. If you're Hunter Yurachek, what are you doing right now to fix Arkansas football or get it in a position where you feel like that you're going to be at least in the middle of the pack in this league with a chance to compete for a run at the playoff in some years?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is talk like we have a chance to do exactly that, not talk like we don't have a chance, like he may have done a couple of weeks ago. But I think Arkansas is fixable, and maybe it's bias, having grown up in Memphis and followed that program during its heyday, and having been there enough times over the years and speaking and going to games to see the enthusiasm level. There is no excuse at all for Arkansas not to be highly competitive. And I just think it's in the last couple of years, it's just been a calamity of mistakes. I think Pittman peaked out very early in his last couple of years. The trend line was there, but hey, Sam Pittman's a good guy, so let's let him screw Arkansas up another year or two. And that's the sad part. He probably should have been gone sooner. And I don't know. I have no insight. You guys talk about it every day, so I don't want to act like I know who the next Arkansas coach is going to be. But I think it can be successful because it's just not that difficult. You don't have to go out there and hire somebody that's won a Super Bowl or somebody that's been to the CFP championship. You just have to hire somebody that understands, is relatable, because the fans in Arkansas, from where I sit, are going to coalesce around whoever the choice is.
Paul, you were right just a few moments ago when you said that, Penn State, that was that firing that kind of got all the firing started. Which is the first hire that begins the dominoes? What's the job out there that all the others fall in line behind?
Well, I think some of it is complicated because if you are going to go after one of these top guys, you're not going to be the first one in. So Lane Kiffin will not be hired on November 30th because he's in the playoffs, unless he suddenly flames out. So I think that's really the most intriguing part of this. So who is going, of the so-called hot coaches, who is going to be available? So it's probably going to be Eli Drinkwitz because Missouri's not going to the playoffs. Ryan Silverfield is a very good coach, but they're still alive, so you can't hire him if Memphis is about to go to the playoffs. So I think that's really the complicated part. And also, does somebody gamble on a Gruden or a James Franklin, people that are not around? So I think that's how you have to look at it. It's going to be very tiered, where Florida, Arkansas, LSU, one of these schools is going to make a quick grab, and the other one is going to be waiting for that coach who was in the playoffs.
Is the Gruden stuff legit? I mean, is he a legit possibility at an SEC school?
I don't think so. Now, I know people that know Gruden better than I do. I've run into him once a year at an ESPN event, and he's a charming guy, but I don't know why you would hire John Gruden. First of all, I don't think he's that big of a name anymore. And it's been a long time since he's been in a Super Bowl. And I know he coached recently, but his last couple of jobs have flamed out. And does he understand college football enough? And there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, he's smart enough to bring a GM in, and he will attract a lot of attention. But he is not John Calipari, because John Calipari was still coaching at Kentucky the day before he took the Arkansas job. John Gruden has been out of it for too long, in my opinion. So that's my negative on him.
Paul, I got to ask you about just where we are with the conference arguments as it relates to the college football playoff. And, I mean, you've written a book, My Conference is Better Than Your Conference, and you do a show that largely revolves around the SEC. But I listened all summer to these commissioners get up, and I don't know who they're talking to, but they're like all campaigning for their league. And what is it about this that we're like deciding, well, how many teams can get in from whatever conference? Why can't we just get the best teams in?
Well, we should. But to me, anytime you have a committee, and a committee like this committee, you do, there's some value in campaigning, but not in the summertime. Because I remember, Bo, being at SEC spring meetings. What was that, the last week of May? And the SEC officials were handing out those white papers. Like, who in the world wants to read that at the beach? And it just had no relevance. I understand it right now, and I do it every day. And nothing irritates me more than that first Tuesday in November, when whoever it is, and it was Jeff Long 10 years ago, and it was Mack Rhodes the other night. And the exasperating part of that show is that individual, as well-meaning as he or she is not speaking for themselves. They're doing this group speak because they're talking for that committee, and I feel like we're down at the El Dorado Chamber of Commerce, and the guy is speaking about whether we're going to get a new Goodyear plant in town. And it just doesn't make any sense. And my biggest gripe, and I've been saying this, and I mean, I used to be on that Tuesday night show, Bo, and they kicked me off because I came on there one week about 5 or 6 years ago, and or maybe it was longer, and said, this is absurd. Why can't we have some transparency? If the Supreme Court justices can put their name by a landmark ruling on abortion, why can't these guys tell us, who they're voting for every weekend? And ultimately, they said, thank you for your service, Mr. Finebaum.
That seems to be a little bit of a trend that we have developed here in this career of yours that's been quite fascinating to watch. I know, you've spent many, many, many years in Birmingham, and you're well aware of Alabama, Auburn. And I just wonder, what has happened? I thought Hugh Freeze was going to be a great fit at Auburn. What is going on at Auburn, where it's been, I forget how long since they've had a winning record in the SEC?
Well, they fired Gus Malzahn, a great product of your state, because he wasn't winning enough. I think he was winning close to a 70% winning clip, and the last two guys, Harsin and Frieza, have just been over the SEC. And I think they got caught up in trying to keep up with Nick Saban. And Gus had a little bit of success against Saban. I think he beat him 3 or 4 times, and ultimately, Freeze looked like a great choice on the day he was hired. But something, I know he's been sick, so you hate to just completely eviscerate the poor guy, but he never looked the same, and I think that they just are mired in one of these situations, which I think Arkansas can relate to. And they can't get out of their own way. They bring in an offensive genius, and they scored 3 points against the worst team in the SEC last week.
We'll get you out of here with this. You talked about getting out of your own way. It seems like to me college football now more than ever is about the people behind the program that actually are funding the program, the money. But also, like, you've got to give them some sort of say, or you've got to get connected in that way. Would you agree with that? Would you say like Kiffin's been able to do that at Ole Miss? In the places that are winning, they've got that kind of set up.
Right now, that's where we are. Saturday morning, put on your TV, and you're going to hear the name Cody Campbell nonstop. Who is he? He's the billionaire that made Texas Tech relevant. Every school has 1 or 2 or 3 of these guys. And they are now part of the program. I loved where who was it the other day, the buffoon governor of Louisiana who tried to set the template for what that program needs to do. But you can't get away from it. I mean, agents are the most important people around in terms of the coaches, and 1 or 2 control everyone. And the boosters, I mean, if you give $100 million to Arkansas or $50 million, shouldn't you have a say? That doesn't mean you have to micromanage it, but yeah, you better believe if I'm Hunter Yurachek, I'm calling the 3 most important boosters of Arkansas football or basketball, who, by the way, are also the 3 most important beneficiaries of the university and who make the state run. I'm getting their opinion. Otherwise, you're just a complete blithering idiot.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Paul, always great, man. Thanks for making time for us. We know how busy you are. We really appreciate it.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Chuck Bo, anytime.
Thank you. Continued success, man. Paul Finebaum, still with the Walt Disney Company.